back to GSD Nation. Today, it is the first podcast of 2025, and we're going to go into the main stories of 2024, and we're also going to go to the Festivus Report. So let's get right into it.
Thanks, Max, for a great intro. 2025 is underway. This is our first podcast of the year, and we're going to do a quick 2024 recap. Let's start with maybe what were the most major events that happened in 2024?
One was two assassination attempts on Trump.
Yeah, crazy.
Hunter Biden was pardoned.
Pardoned, yep.
And the CEO of that health company just killed.
Yeah, he was murdered, shot in the back.
That dude was found at like McDonald's, right?
Yeah, and then they found Luigi Mangione.
Oh yes.
So he'll most likely be put away for life. And yeah, that was a wild story. That was pretty recent, end of the year. Mm-hmm. Former President Jimmy Carter just passed away at the end of the year. At the age of 100. He was the president back before Reagan.
There's also the Mike Tyson fight, right?
Yeah, Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul.
That was
had a huge lead up.
The boringest fight ever.
We watched it, huge lead up, and then kind of.
It was kind
really
of like,
disappointed in terms of its action, and a lot of speculation that it was choreographed. Obviously, politics was a huge part of this year. Assassination attempts. Trump wins the presidency pretty much easily. Kamala Harris gets appointed to the position
and loses horrifically.
Yeah, it wasn't really close, even though people thought it would be close. And then there's the whole Biden situation. Kind of had to prop him up the whole year.
Where did he even go?
And now he's pardoned his son. He'll be able to go and eat ice cream on the beach, and I hope that's what he does.
You know Snoop Dogg, right?
Snoop Dogg, yeah.
He's been on basically every single type of commercial.
Literally.
Also, when we were watching the Olympics, we literally saw him speaking for the Olympics.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg is promoting literally every brand on the planet. He's on every show, everywhere. You cannot avoid Snoop Dogg. I don't know what got him to this point that every brand on the planet thinks that he's the proper spokesman. But
maybe he's running out of money on weed.
That was an interesting development in this year. Yeah. A guy that's really like raps and is known for smoking unbelievable amounts of marijuana.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah. What else?
Well, there's a Hamas against Israel.
Yeah, the wars
still going on.
Wars are still going on.
And also, the Ukraine against Russia.
Right. That's sad. That is very sad.
How can we get out of this debt?
Well, yeah, the debt went up in 2024. Maybe newsworthy.
Yeah, we're actually going to be talking about that. A lot of the fun stuff that's going to be.
This actually is a great segue. Let's get into, we covered this last year in January. Senator Rand Paul, one of our absolute favorites, puts out a document every year called the Festivus Report. He's done this for 11 years in a row. And what the Festivus Report does is highlights government waste. Government debt is a great segue into government waste. And so we are going to go through the Festivus Report. The boys have gone through it in detail, and they're going to highlight some of the big items in the Festivus Report. And so as a summary, the Festivus Report has over $1 trillion of absolute government waste spending, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to go through some of the biggest ones.
Yeah, we're going to start with like the most expensive ones.
Okay.
And then when we're done with those, then we'll let you know, and then we'll go to the most stupid ones. So, the biggest was the amount of interest on the current debt.
Yeah.
It was like around $900 billion.
Right.
Then,
so our debt is, because we've taken on so much debt, we're just paying interest on the debt, which doesn't get us anything. We're just paying interest on the money that we owe. And that is the largest line item in the U.S. budget, I think. Or maybe it's like right there with military. But anyway, that's incredible.
We also, I think, spent like $7 billion, I think, on various magical projects.
Magical projects.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
It's like
apparently the government's getting into mysticism.
It's like movies and Magic School Bus and that junk.
Yeah. Wild.
Something else, I think I'm pretty sure this is the next one. Pretty big difference from billions to millions. But two things that had millions, they both had 20 million each.
Yeah. Okay.
It was where we were helping to maintain fertilizer in a bunch of countries like Brazil.
We gave them money to do projects on and studies on fertilizer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also
in other countries.
Yeah, and then we also the same thing for another 20 million. We helped promote a Sesame Street show in Iraq.
Yeah. I mean, Iraq probably needs Sesame Street, but apparently the translation isn't good enough. We had to do our own, its own show, and we spent $20 million on it.
There's also where they spent $288 million on to ensure bird watching groups had safe spaces, aka affinity groups.
Affinity groups for bird watchers, as if bird watching isn't like its own group. They have unique groups
sure you include
within
DEI in everything.
Yeah, they have DEI bird watching groups.
That's wild.
That's
just
wild.
for like safe spaces.
Safe spaces. Gotta have safe space, right, Max?
For bird watching.
For bird watching.
So the next biggest one was where the U.S. Navy is set to waste almost $90 billion on ineffective Navy vessels. I think it was building some bad ones, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of like these, the U.S. Mail Service. They have a budget of like something like $9 billion to spend on new electric vehicles, and they built 93 of them. And those same amount of electric vehicles, if they would have just bought a Tesla truck and put a back end on it or something, they could have done it for $10 million. So,
Dad, actually, I think it was where last year their debt was around $6 billion, but this year it was $9 billion.
Yeah, the U.S. mail system. Yeah, crazy.
That was insane.
Now, we covered the U.S. mail system. Remember, we did a podcast on it, and what did we find, guys?
We think that it should be a private business, not something that the taxpayers want, because it's mainly just ads.
Yeah, what we determined was that most of what comes in the U.S. mail system is junk mail. So it's ads and marketing and so forth. The system costs the taxpayers a tremendous burden every year because we have to subsidize their inability to break even or make a profit, largely because of high labor costs. I think FedEx and UPS have labor costs in the 30% of their costs is labor, 30-40%. And for the U.S. mail system, because they have government workers that have tremendous benefits and higher pay,
80%.
It's something like 80% of their costs are labor. But most of what they deliver is junk, right? And so we talked about this. You guys did some benefit and drawback analysis on it. And we also found out that over 10% of all paper waste in the country comes directly from junk mail in the U.S. mail system.
So imagine all these global warming, global cooling, global change, right? Whatever it is. Climate change.
Where's the climate activist, right?
This is the perfect time for them to come in. This is the best time that they could have come in, yet they decide to this steam stack is producing too much air.
Yep. Well, or they'll go and glue themselves to a painting in some art museum. Meanwhile, they should be gluing themselves to a mail truck, U.S. mail system. And we had some ideas like privatizing it or cutting back their delivery to 2 or 3 days a week. That would maybe make a big difference. Okay, what else in the Festivus Report?
Stuff?
The last.
Let's get into the dumb. So let's get into the really
the last very big one, and this one's also kind of a dumb one. This is
they're all dumb, but
Dad, this one is where they gave a trucking company that makes trucks a $700 million loan. And they immediately went bankrupt.
This is a kind of stupid one.
Okay, let's do it.
The Department of Interior, or DOI.
Yep.
So they spent $720,000 on wetland conservation projects for the protection of ducks.
Protection of ducks.
Yeah.
Oh, are ducks threatened? I feel like we have a lot of ducks.
We have a lot of ducks, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. What else?
For some reason, instead of sending $2.1 million on our own border, we decided to spend it on
someone else's border.
I'm probably gonna mess this up, but Paraguayan.
Paraguay.
Paraguayan.
Paraguay.
Yeah. That's in South
Paraguay.
America, down Uruguay, Paraguay, down by Brazil, the Argentina area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So we spent over $2 million on protecting their borders.
Yes. Not
Okay.
our borders. Their
Awesome.
borders.
Awesome.
To make sure.
That
Yeah.
was
And
great.
then we sell our own border supplies for 5 cents each.
Yes. And now we're selling pieces of the wall to sabotage the Trump administration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the National Institutes of Health,
Yep. Oh, notorious
for
wasters.
spending,
Yep.
they spent $1,513,000 on a study of spinning kittens for motion sickness.
Until
Wow.
they throw up. It's sad.
Spinning kittens for motion sickness until they throw up.
It's just cruelty.
That is cruelty. I bet you and I could have done that study for a lot less than 1.5 million.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to mess this name up also, so I'm just not going to say it.
Yeah.
But the government spent around $123,000 to teach kids how to go viral.
Yes. In Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
Yes.
That's the name I said. Okay.
So we taught kids how to go viral on
Oh my
social media
gosh.
in Kazakhstan.
Why do we do that? Why?
125,000.
That's so stupid. Teaching other kids from other countries to go viral. Maybe you can give me that. Maybe you can give me that
give
money.
us.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I'd love to know
Yeah, we
how to
could
go
have used
viral.
it. We need to go viral too, right?
Yep.
Okay, what else? There was another one in there about influencers. Didn't we spend something like
Oh, around like $9 or $7 million to tell influencers what to say.
to have influencers help the U.S. government? So they spent millions of dollars on influencers. We didn't get any of that. I wonder why that is.
Say,
Maybe because they don't like us.
the Department of Health and Human Services,
Oh, another great spender.
yep, spent $419,000 to determine if lonely rats see cocaine more than happy rats.
Dad, this one's really interesting. You were laughing about this earlier. For some strange reason, we decided to spend around $345,000 on football engagement to counter terrorism.
Football engagement to counter terrorism.
A country that's a lot of terrorists. but
Yeah.
They can learn football and they'll be happy.
There's more. There's more, and we'll
There's
link.
a lot more.
I mean,
We-
we could, I really just want to say every single thing on this, but
Yeah.
it's so
Because
hard.
it's so ridiculous.
So hard.
But we will drop a link to the actual Festivus report in the description so people can check it out and you get a good laugh. Grab some popcorn, enjoy it. And so that is the Festivus report. Now, Rand Paul has been doing this for a long time, boys, and he's been pointing out
years.
waste. What other organization is into cutting waste right now?
DOGE.
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 So Elon, Vivek, and Rand Paul's been sort of like, he started this as, similar, but they've also pointed out some things like daylight savings time. They've pointed out all of the money that we're spending on leases for government buildings that are empty. They've pointed out how many government workers don't go into the office and don't even log into their system. And so there's a lot of, let's say, questions around if people are actually working in a lot of government departments. That's just a starting point. So what do you think there is going to be their biggest challenge? Because Rand Paul's been pointing this stuff out for a decade, and it's not getting better. And that both Republicans and Democrats just keep spending on stupid stuff. They tuck these things into the bill, and it costs the taxpayer money. So what do you think needs to be different now if DOGE is going to be successful?
So Congress, even though now all the Senate, Congress, and presidency are all Republican,
Yep.
Congress needs to make sure that they do not pass giant bills for
Spending.
Yes. So you're absolutely right. Somehow, Rand Paul, DOGE, they need Congress to actually act on the information. And these are people that we elect. We elect them to do exactly what we need them to do, which is spend our money responsibly, but they haven't been doing that. So I'm just wondering what's gonna change, or what can we do, or what can Elon and Vivek do to incentivize Congress to act more responsibly. They're going to need a lot of people to get on board, and there's folks that like to spend. A lot of Republicans like to spend too, guys. Big time.
I
Big
know.
time. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think they still got a lot of headwinds in terms of getting these things done, because Congress has to actually either pass legislation to remove it or decrease certain budgets or nuke certain agencies that are ineffective or unnecessary. All these things have to be done through legislation, right?
Yeah.
They've got a big task in front of them. But any ideas that you think Elon and Vivek and their movement could do to try to spark some energy into this?
Well, it can maybe use a little bit of a scare tactic.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. You were elected to do this certain thing, and if you don't do it, the people that elected you are going to be really mad because you did not do what you said you would do for them.
Right.
So then kind of shame.
Okay. So who would do that? Who would point that out?
DOGE.
DOGE, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They could highlight who's not pulling their weight in terms of like doing things that their people want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that is one thing that they're absolutely intending to do. And Elon owns and runs Twitter, obviously. So
he has a lot of power with that.
He's got a lot of capability there, and he's got a lot of followers, and so does Vivek and some of the people in the party and Trump. And so they could use things like social media to put pressure on the representatives in Congress to highlight, we are going to put a bill forward that cuts this much spending. These are all wasteful items. If you want to see it, here's the summary, and encourage your congressman. And then they could hold those individuals accountable if they do not vote for it, and essentially create a little bit of an uprising. I think is what you're saying. Is like the people would say, hey, we elected you to do this. So I think that could be pretty powerful. Yeah. In fact, I think that's going to be the biggest tool maybe that they've got to get this stuff pushed through is just more visibility. So I like that one a lot, Will.
They have an infinite dollar credit card.
Yeah.
And they don't really care what it is.
Yes. Well, do you know Congress also votes for that? They establish, like a credit card has a credit limit. So if you get a credit card and it has a $10,000 limit on it, you can't spend more than that. The government has that too.
Have we passed it?
Every year, we increase the debt limit. They increase it. And they always vote for it. Always.
What's the debt limit right now?
I don't know what it is specifically, but
$2 billion.
It's high. Yes, it's
$2 trillion.
And they just keep increasing it and saying, we'll address it later. We'll definitely get to it. We'll get to it. Yeah. And so this is, and bipartisan, they keep approving it because the threat of not approving it, it would require the government to shut down certain things, meaning because if they don't fund it, either print the money or take tax dollars and fund it towards that, then they would have to shut down things because they couldn't pay bills to vendors for the military, or they couldn't pay entitlements through social programs that we have, or they couldn't pay government workers. And so people aren't going to just work for free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people aren't going to produce things for free. And so that would shut down the government, which could be pretty catastrophic, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they're unwilling to do it because that's kind of the constant threat that's looming. And so they just keep increasing their credit card limit every year, always. And they just did it again. The problem is, though, there's a lot of people. The government is the biggest employer in the nation. And so all these people that work for the government, they want the debt ceiling to go up because that's how they get paid. Yeah. So it's tricky. Congress does not have a very good track record of acting and getting stuff done. So I would like to see them go to guerrilla warfare tactics to some extent to get this done. We have a short window of time because there's the risk that in the next 2 to 4 years that some of these positions result in not having a majority anymore, right? So they have to get things done while they have the seats to do it.
Yeah. Hopefully Trump will help with that, though.
Well, he'll help, but he can't make laws.
I know, but he'll probably he's very convincing, right?
He can be convincing.
He's pretty convincing. So he'll probably talk to a lot of the people, a lot of the congressmen, right? And he'll say, "Hey, you were elected by the people, and they are going to want the debt lower.
Yep.
So please, thank you very much."
That's right. Pretty good impersonation. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
of
we'll
course.
probably have some more of that in 2025, right, William?
Yes, very much. Next 4 years, baby.
Yeah. Oh, well, we got a lot. We got so much material, we don't even know what to do with it.
Woo!
But we have big expectations out of this administration. So as we get into 2025, I expect that we will have more content around how this administration is doing to the promises that we've made. And I think DOGE is going to be high on the list in terms of an area that we have a lot of expectations out of, because they need to be successful so that they can secure your future, you two boys, and Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and stomp inflation and stick a fork in inflation so that you guys can have a bright future, right?
That's the goal.
Yeah. With that, let's call it a wrap. Festivus Report. Lots of opportunity for cleanup. And so those that don't think we have government waste, come on. Like, let's get realistic. It's not a partisan issue. We need to cut waste. We need DOGE to be successful. And so any pressure you can put on your congressman, that would be great. Nonetheless, we have a lot in store for 2025, maybe 15 to 20 podcasts coming up that we're going to be publishing. A lot of those from the Turning Point America Fest conference.
Yep.
And a lot of really cool guests, and we've got a lot more lined up that we're going to be interviewing over the next month. And so stick with us. A lot of great stuff to come this year, and we are just getting started, right?
Make sure you guys follow and look at every single video and like and comment, because that makes it go bigger and more people see it. That's the goal. Thank you very much.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.